If you are working with a child for your case study, here's what you're going to make sure you include. 1, a little background information on this child. What grade are you observing? Is this a child who comes from a large family? And you can find this out by asking some questions that you create. You might sit with that child first and ask him, what do you like to play? What is your favorite book you like to read? Do you like to go to the library? What's your favorite sport that you enjoy? You think of some questions at the beginning of your time together that will break the ice, just make it a little more comfortable. Before you actually sit down to interview, hopefully you've had some time to observe this child within the classroom setting. When you are observing that classroom setting, watch to see, is this child engaged? Is he following through on assignments that he has been instructed to do? Is he bothering friends sitting next to him or her? Or do they seem a bit removed? What observations are you making? Do they raise their hand when the questions are being asked? Think about your observations. You will be writing that up at the beginning of your case study. I will always refer you back to the case study rubric because I have really lined out exactly the components I'd like to see in this paper. So now you've done some observations of the classroom. You're giving me an overview of the classroom. You're talking about any kinds of extra services this child might receive. Maybe he's seeing a counselor or going to speech or is in a pull-out program for more resource one-on-one tutorial time. Tell me anything you know about this child. And some of that can be gained from talking to the child as well as from the classroom teacher. Giving a little physical description of this child is always good too. Because if you were going to be going into a student study team meeting as the classroom teacher, you would have to have this full picture of this child. Always building from the positives, what can the child do? And then leading into some of the concerns you see. So the case study will embrace background knowledge on the child, special services being offered, if any. And then it comes down to your questionnaire. What questions did you ask this child to get to know them more? And then your running record with the child. You will be taking a running record or a Miss-Q analysis of this child. And then your final steps. What will you do? What will you do as the classroom teacher to reach out in mini lessons to help this child? If the child is only sounding out words, then you might say, I need to work on meaning. I need to work on, does that make sense to the story? And after the running record, build in little questions that I would ask of the child. You said, and repeat whatever sentence the error happened. Did that make sense to the story? And ask the child to reread that sentence. Typically after a running record, you go back in to praise always, and then secondly, to 1 or 2 teaching points. It is those 2 teaching points that you can write up in your case study. Finally, if the child omitted the word the on every line, for instance, then you might say, I need to introduce the word the and take it to fluency in a lesson that follows in the next few days. Maybe this child needs more work with rhyming to be able to learn about word families. And you talk about that as a mini lesson that you would prepare. You don't need to write a lesson plan as part of the case study. But part of the analysis and the next steps would just be to even bullet some ideas of what you would include as the classroom teacher in the way of a mini guided reading lesson. After viewing this video, please do not hesitate to write to me via our Lalima class with any questions or any clarifications that you still need. I would be more than happy to, even as you're writing up your case study, to look through it and edit for you and with you so that you can make sure that you have the components in there. If you are still having trouble, I will be glad if you want to make an appointment and come in, and I can sit with you in the office or I can speak with you by phone, whatever works best. Hopefully, seeing this process in place has made a little more sense to you. And with that, I look forward to reading your case studies and to seeing you be able to sit with a child and really know how this assessment process can help to direct instruction and build that independence in our readers. Thank you so much. Good luck!